The wind howled across the frozen plains of the planet Calros 7. Thick snow covered everything, and the sky above was dark with swirling clouds. Matt, a lone human engineer, walked carefully through the deep snow. He had been sent to check for rare minerals near the icy mountains, but now he was just trying to make it back to his small shelter before nightfall. He wrapped his coat tighter around his body and adjusted the heat pack inside. Every step felt heavy, but he pushed forward. Suddenly, through the white haze, he saw something that didn't belong to small shapes lying in the snow, barely moving. Matt blinked, not sure if it was real. He moved closer and gasped. They weren't just shapes, they were people. Not human, though. Both had soft lavender skin, long white hair, and pointed ears. They looked like young alien girls, maybe in their teens. Their thin clothing was soaked and torn. One was curled around the other, trying to keep her warm. "Hey, can you hear me?" Matt shouted over the wind. The older one opened her eyes weakly. The younger one didn't move at all. Matt didn't waste time. He dropped to his knees, pulled off his outer coat, and wrapped it around them both. He pulled out his emergency heat blanket and activated it, then gently lifted the smaller girl into his arms. She was light as a feather. The older one tried to stand, but stumbled, so Matt offered his shoulder. "Come on, my shelter's close. You'll freeze out here." They didn't speak, but the older girl nodded slowly. Together, they moved through the snow. No. Matt kept talking, hoping it gave them strength. "Just a little more. You'll be safe soon. I've got food, heat, and water." After what felt like forever, they reached his small shelter built into the side of a rocky hill. Matt opened the door and guided them inside. Warmth rushed over them. The air was dry and smelled of metal and soup. He set the younger girl on a soft cot and wrapped her in blankets. She was shivering, but alive. The older one sat on the floor, her eyes still wide with fear and confusion. Matt quickly made some warm broth and handed it to her. "Here, drink slowly. You both need rest." The older girl took the cup with shaky hands and drank. Matt sat across from her, watching silently. After a few minutes, the younger one stirred and opened her eyes. She looked around, then reached out to the older one, who gently held her hand. "Thank you," the older girl said quietly, her voice rough. Matt smiled. "You're welcome. I'm Matt. What are your names?" The girl hesitated. "I'm Lyra. She's Zuni. We ran." "Ran from what?" he asked gently. She looked down. "Bad people. Hunters. We escaped when their ship crashed. We've been hiding." Matt felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. "You've been out in that storm all this time?" She nodded, Zuni whispered. Something in a soft language Matt didn't understand. But Lyra just stroked her hair and said something back that sounded calming. Matt stood up. "You can stay here for now. It's not much, but it's warm and safe. Nobody will find you." Lyra looked up, eyes filled with something between doubt and hope. "You won't send us away?" He shook his head. "No, you need help. I won't let anything happen to you." Zuni reached out and touched Matt's hand. Her fingers were cold, but her eyes were warm. She smiled, and for the first time since he found them, Matt felt something more than worry. He felt connected. Over the next few hours, Matt made sure they were dry, fed, and warm. He gave them extra clothes from his supplies and showed them how the heating system worked. Lyra was quiet but watched everything with sharp eyes. Zuni was shy but curious, touching buttons and pointing at things she didn't understand. They both fell asleep later, curled up together on the cot. Matt sat nearby, sipping hot tea and listening to the wind outside. He stared at the sisters, wondering what kind of world they had come from and how they ended up here. Alone and freezing, he thought about how easy it would have been to miss them in the snow. A few minutes later, and they might not have made. It's something about that made him sit straighter. He didn't believe in fate, but maybe, just maybe, he was meant to be there at that exact moment. As he turned off the lights and prepared to rest, Zuni mumbled something in her sleep. Lyra, half awake, whispered back, then looked at Matt. "Thank you," she said again, almost like it hurt too. "Say it," he nodded. "Get some sleep. We'll talk more tomorrow. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in what felt like a long time, the storm outside didn't feel so lonely. The next morning, the storm had quieted, but the cold was still strong. Matt opened his eyes slowly and saw the soft glow of the heating lamp above the cot. Lyra and Zuni were still asleep, curled up under thick blankets. Their faces looked peaceful, but there was still worry hidden behind their resting eyes. Matt stood up quietly, made some hot tea, and checked the scanner. Nothing nearby, no signals, no movement. For now, they were safe. He glanced at the sisters again. Zuni stirred first. Her big eyes opened and looked around. When she saw Matt, she smiled a little and pulled the blanket tighter. Lyra opened her eyes next. She sat up slowly, watching him. "How are you both feeling?" Matt asked gently. "Better," Lyra said. Her voice was stronger today. "Thank you again." "You're welcome. I made some warm food." He handed them a bowl of hot grains and sweet root stew. Zuni's eyes lit up as she tasted it. Good," she whispered. Matt chuckled. "I'm glad." After they finished eating, Matt showed them around the shelter. It was small but well-equipped solar heater, a water purifier, food packs, and a few tools. The roof had a signal dish, though it hadn't worked in weeks. "I built most of it myself," he said. "It was only supposed to stay for one season." Lyra walked around slowly, touching things carefully. Zuni followed Matt, asking short questions in broken English. "What is this?" she asked, pointing to a blinking light. "Battery power monitor," Matt replied. "Tells me if we have enough energy." Lyra sat down near the broken dish and studied it. "I can fix this," she said softly. Matt raised an eyebrow. "Really? I used to fix machines before. Before everything." He nodded. "You're welcome to try. Might be nice to send a signal for more supplies." Zuni climbed onto a chair and looked at the window. Snow still covered the land like a white ocean. She hugged herself. "Don't go," she said to Matt. He turned to her. "I'm not going anywhere. Promise?" she asked. Double quotes. "Promise." Zuni relaxed and sat beside her sister. Matt felt a quiet warmth grow in the shelter. It wasn't just the heater. It was something else, something human. Over the next few hours, they cleaned up the place together. Lyra fixed some wires and replaced a few fuses in the satellite dish. Zuni helped Matt sort through food packs and organize them neatly. They were quiet but worked like they belonged there. Matt was surprised by how skilled Lyra was. She didn't talk much, but she knew what she was doing. Her fingers moved quickly, and her eyes focused sharply. "You really know your stuff," he said, handing her a tool. "My mother taught me," Lyra replied. "She was an engineer before." She didn't finish the sentence, and Matt didn't. "Ask." Instead, he nodded and said, "She'd be proud." Lyra didn't answer, but her eyes softened. By evening, the dish showed signs of life. The signal light blinked once, not strong enough to send a full message, but enough to give hope. "We're close," Lyra said. "Nice work," Matt replied. "You're amazing," Zuni clapped softly. "Yay, we can talk to sky people?" Matt laughed. "Yeah, something like that." That night, they all ate together at the small table. It felt more like a home now. Lyra and Zuni talked a bit more. Zuni asked about Earth, and Matt told them about trees, birds, and blue oceans. "Do you miss it?" Lyra asked. "Sometimes," he said, "but I like being out here. Quiet, peaceful." Zuni leaned on Matt's shoulder and yawned. "Can we stay here? Forever?" Matt smiled. "As long as you want." Lyra watched him carefully. "You're different from others. Don't ask us to leave. You needed help. That's enough." For me, she nodded. "We were scared. We thought, maybe all humans were like the hunters," Matt frowned. "What hunters?" "Those who bought people, treated us like we didn't matter. They don't care if we live or die." Matt's heart sank. He had heard stories, but seeing it in their eyes made it real. "You're safe here," he said firmly. "I won't let anyone hurt you." Zuni hugged him tightly. Lyra looked away, wiping her eyes later that night after Zuni fell asleep. Lyra sat beside Matt at the workbench. You could have walked away, she said. You didn't. I couldn't. You were freezing, scared, alone. Still, most people would not stop. Matt sighed. Maybe, but then they'd miss something important. What do you mean? They'd miss meeting you and Zuni? Lyra looked surprised, then smiled a little. It was the first real smile he saw from her. We don't want to go anywhere else, she said quietly. This place, it feels right. Then it's your home too, Matt said, as the wind whispered. Outside, the shelter felt full of life. 3 souls, once strangers, now shared warmth, safety, and a bond growing stronger each day. The wind outside was strong again. Another snowstorm was building, and the sky had turned gray. Inside the shelter, the warmth kept them safe. But Matt could feel something heavy in the air, like a quiet warning. Zuni sat on the floor, drawing pictures with a small stick on an old piece of metal. She smiled as she drew a large sun and 3 figures beneath it. Matt and Lyra watched her from across the room. She's happier, Matt said softly. Lyra nodded. Yes, she hasn't had bad dreams in days. Matt looked at her. What happened to you two? How did you end up in the snow like that? Lyra was silent for a moment, then she spoke, her voice low. We were taken from our world. Years ago, my parents, they tried to protect us, but the hunters came. Hunters? Matt asked. She nodded. They take people, mostly young ones. We were moved from place to place, used for work. Sometimes worse. Matt looked away. His hands clenched slightly, but he said nothing. We escaped when their ship crashed. Lyra continued. I grabbed Zuni, and we ran. We didn't know where we were, just that it was cold and quiet, and we were free. Zuni looked up at them and smiled again, unaware of the heavy words. I'm glad I found you, Matt, said Lyra, looked at him, eyes serious. No, we're glad you didn't leave us. They spent the day cleaning the shelter and checking supplies. Matt taught Zuni how to heat water using the small kitchen unit. She enjoyed learning, her eyes full of curiosity. Lyra stayed near the signal dish, trying again to boost its range. She added a few parts from a broken drone Matt had stored in the back. Every now and then, she would call Matt to help, and together, they made slow progress. I think tomorrow we can try sending a stronger message, Lyra said. Just a supply request, Matt reminded her. No names, no details. I know. We don't want to be found, Matt agreed. Though deep down, he hoped someone kind might hear them, someone who could help without danger. By evening, snow had covered the shelter again. The lights inside glowed softly. The heater hummed. Zuni showed off her drawings to Matt, and he smiled as he listened to her stories. This one is you, she said, pointing to a tall figure. And this is me, and this is Lyra. We're standing near the warm fire. Matt leaned closer. What's this above us? Zuni tilted her head. Shield. So nothing bad comes. He smiled. That's smart. You're a good artist. Zuni giggled and hugged his arm. Lyra watched from across the room, her face calm. She didn't say it, but Matt could tell. Zuni was thankful for these small moments. The quiet peace they hadn't had in so long. After dinner, Matt sat with Lyra while Zuni played with her toy robot. You know, he said, this place feels different now. Before, it was just a station. Quiet, cold, empty. Now it feels like something real. Like home. Oh. Lyra looked down at her tea. We never had a real home before. You do now. She nodded slowly. I believe you. Just then, the scanner beeped. Matt stood quickly, checking the screen. It showed movement, not close maybe to hills away, but clear. Something was walking through the snow. What is it? Lyra asked, standing beside him. Can't tell yet. Could be an animal. Zuni came over, holding Matt's hand. Is it scary? Not yet, he said, but we'll be ready. They turned off outside lights and covered the windows. Matt handed Lyra a flare gun and kept one for himself. Wasn't a real weapon, but it could signal or distract if needed. The 3 of them stayed quiet, watching the screen. The movement continued, slow and steady. It paused, then moved again. Someone is searching, Lyra whispered. Maybe a drone, Matt said. Maybe not. An hour passed. Then two. The signal slowly faded and vanished. Whoever it was, if it was anyone, they were gone now. It could have just been an animal, Matt said. Or a scout, Lyra replied. They do that sometimes. They search first, then return with others. Matt looked at her. If someone comes here, if someone tries to take you or Zuni, they'll have to go through me. Zuni squeezed his hand tighter. Lyra didn't smile. She just said, thank you. That night they slept lightly. Matt kept the scanner on full watch. He sat near the door, ready in case something happened. The snow outside kept falling, hiding everything beneath it. In the morning, nothing had changed. No more signals, no new footprints. It's just white hills. And cold wind. Zuni woke first. She made warm tea for everyone, proud of her work. Lyra checked the signal dish. Still working? No outside contact. We'll be extra careful, Matt said. Zuni looked up at him. Will you always stay with us? Matt looked at both sisters. Yes, always. And he meant it. The days passed quietly, but something had changed. The air inside the shelter was warmer, not because of the heaters, but because of the bond that had formed between the three of them. Lyra and Zuni had become something close to a family. Zuni woke early every morning and helped Matt prepare simple meals. She liked to arrange the food in neat patterns, giggling when Matt made funny faces with fruit. She had picked up more English words and now used them with excitement.
Good morning.
Keeper, she would say, her voice cheerful and bright. Matt never corrected her for calling him that. It started as a small nickname from Zuni, but it stuck. She called him Keeper, as if he was someone meant to protect them, to hold their world together. And honestly, Matt didn't mind. Lyra had made it her mission to fix everything broken in the shelter. She repaired the air filter, replaced cracked seals in the door, and even found a way to boost the water purifier. Her hands were steady and her mind sharp. Matt offered help, but often she worked best on her own. You're like an engineer, Matt told her once. I used to be, Lyra replied softly. Before we lost our home. She didn't speak much about the past. Matt had stopped asking. She would tell him when she was ready. Instead, he focused on the present hand, making sure both sisters felt safe and cared for. The snowstorm had ended, and the sky above the mountains turned a pale blue. Sunlight returned, but the cold never left. Still, it was enough to walk outside. Again, one morning, Matt took them to a nearby ridge. Zuni ran ahead, her small boots crunching the snow. Look, she shouted, pointing at the wide frozen lake below. The ice sparkled like glass under the sun. It's beautiful, Matt said. Lyra stood beside him, quiet. She pulled her scarf close around her neck. This place, it's not our home. But it doesn't feel empty anymore. Matt looked at her. Because you're not alone? She nodded. Yes. Suddenly, Zuni slipped and fell. Matt rushed forward, but she laughed, waving her arms. I'm okay, she shouted. Lyra sighed. Mate, she scares me sometimes. Matt smiled. She's strong, like her sister. They returned to the shelter with fresh snow melted into drinking water and quiet smiles on their faces. Matt noticed how comfortable everything felt now. There were 3 chairs instead of 1, 3 cups. Laughter filled the room, where silence once lived. That evening, Zuni brought out something new, drawings she had made using scraps of old paper and colored bits from broken screens. This is me, she said proudly, pointing to a figure with big eyes and silver hair. And this is Lyra. She held up another drawing, showed Matt with them. They were all standing under a warm sun, smiling. It's family, she said softly. Matt took the picture, moved by the simple word. Thank you, Zuni. This means a lot. Zuni hugged him without saying anything. Lyra stood nearby, watching the moment. She didn't speak, but there was something in her eyes, something soft and deep. Later that night, when Zuni was asleep, Lyra sat beside Matt, near the heater. She dreams again, Lyra said quietly. Before, when we were running, she would cry in her sleep. Now she dreams. Matt looked at her. Because she feels safe now. Yes, and so do I. There was a long pause between them. Then Lyra said, I've been thinking. If your dish works and someone responds, what will happen to us? Matt took a breath. Honestly, I don't know. Depends who answers. Will they take us away? Not if I can stop them. Lyra looked at him. We don't want to be taken. This place. With you. It's the first time we've felt free. Matt nodded. Then we'll stay. If anyone comes, I'll make sure they understand. She didn't say thank you this time. Instead, she just sat closer, letting the warmth speak for her. The next day, the signal dish blinked again this time, stronger. Lyra adjusted the panel, and a light turned green. It's ready, she said. Should we send a signal? Matt asked. Lyra hesitated. Only if we must. It's just a supply request. No names, no faces. She nodded. Together, they typed a short message asking for medical kits, thermal suits, and long-term food rations. Matt added one line at the end. Shelter active, all safe. They sent the signal and waited. Days passed, and nothing came. But none of them seemed to mind. Life continued. Zuni learned to cook a little. Lyra repaired a broken drone. Matt taught them both how to play an old card game from Earth. They laughed, they worked, they rested. Matt often thought about how strange everything was. He had come to this cold planet alone, expecting silence and hard work. Instead, he found something warmer than he could have imagined. Trust, connection, and a sense of home. One night, the snow gently fell outside. Lyra stood at the door, looking out. Do you think we'll ever leave this planet? She asked. Only if you want to. Zuni likes it here, I think. I do too. Matt joined her. Then maybe this planet is lucky to have you. She smiled at that, a small smile, but real dot inside, Zuni was drawing again 3 figures holding hands under a glowing sun. The morning began like any other. The sky was gray, and soft snowflakes floated outside the small window. Matt was heating water while Zuni played with a tiny robot toy Lyra had fixed for her. Lyra sat quietly in the corner, reading an old datapad they found in a supply crate. The silence was calm, gentle, and peaceful. But then the scanner beeped. Matt turned to it quickly. The small green light that blinked for all clear had turned yellow. A signal was moving toward them slow, but steady. It wasn't weather. It wasn't an animal. It was a ship. Someone's coming, Matt said. Lyra stood up. A ship? Matt nodded. Yeah, could be rescue. Or not. Zuni's smile faded as she looked up. Bad people. Don't know yet, Matt said. Trying to stay calm, Lyra walked to the console and studied the readings. Ship is small. 1 or 2 passengers. Not military, I think. But not human either, Matt added. They shared a glance. Even with the uncertainty, Matt knew he had to prepare. We'll hide the signal dish. Shut down outside lights, just in case. Zuni looked frightened. What if they take us? They won't, Matt said. I promised. While Matt worked to shut down outside systems, Lyra guided Zuni to the safe space they had made behind the supply crates. It wasn't much, but it was warm, and the walls were thick enough to block sensors. Zuni didn't want to go in, but Lyra told her gently, just until we know they're safe. An hour later, the ship landed a few hills away. Matt watched through binoculars from the ridge above the shelter. It wasn't a hunter ship, it looked. Old, patched together with markings he didn't recognize. A tall figure stepped out. Covered in heavy clothes and a helmet, they scanned the area, then began walking toward Matt's location. Matt took a deep breath and waited, held a signal. Flare, ready to warn the sisters if things went bad, the figure approached, stopping just a few feet away. Then they lifted the helmet. A gray-skinned alien woman stared at him, her eyes tired but kind. You sent the supply request? She asked. Matt didn't lower his guard. Who's asking? My name is Sella. I monitor this quadrant. I saw your message. I brought supplies. Matt didn't answer. Sela looked around. You have others with you? Matt stayed quiet. You don't trust me, Sela said. I understand. These are hard times. Why are you really here? Matt asked. Because I saw your words? Sela said softly. Shelter active. All safe. Those words. They mean something. Matt lowered the flare slightly. I'm listening. I won't stay long. I only want to give what you asked for. Medical kits, food packs, thermal gear. I won't take anything from you. Matt nodded slowly. Wait here. He returned to the shelter and told Lyra everything. Zuni peeked out from behind the crates. She sounds honest, Matt said. But we still need to be careful. Lyra thought for a moment, then said, I'll speak with her. Matt blinked. Are you sure? Yes. She truly wants to help. She should meet us. They walked back to the ridge together. Sela waited, arms at her side. When she saw Lyra, she froze. You're single. What? Lyra nodded. Me and my sister. Sela stepped forward slowly. I heard rumors, ... Survivors. But I didn't believe them. We are real, Lyra said. We escaped. Then I swear to you, I will not report this. I only came because your message felt different. Kind. Zuni ran up the hill, arms wide. Lyra, don't go too far. Matt tried to stop her, but it was too late. She ran straight to her sister and grabbed her hand. Sela's eyes softened when she saw Zuni. She too had been through a lot. Zuni looked at her with big eyes. Won't take us? No, Sela said gently. You're safe here.
Ow.
They walked back to the shelter together. Sela dropped off a large crate filled with supplies. She also gave Matt an extra power cell and new repair tools. This should help you stay warm for another winter, she said. Matt nodded. Thank you. Before she left, Sela handed Lyra a small device. This is a private signal beacon. If you ever need help, only help, use it. Lyra took it slowly. We'll keep it safe. Sela smiled once more, then walked back to her. Ship, they watched her fly away, disappearing into the gray sky. Inside the shelter. The mood was quiet but peaceful. She was nice, Zuni said. Not scary. We were lucky, Lyra said. Not all are like her. Matt looked at the new supplies. This will help us a lot. Zuni hugged him from the side. Told you we're family. Matt smiled. Yeah. And families look out for each other. As night fell, they shared a warm meal, wrapped in fresh thermal blankets. Lyra fixed the heating core with the new tools. Zuni fell asleep in Matt's lap. He looked down at her, then at Lyra, who sat quietly across from him. You still think about leaving someday? Matt asked her. She shook her head. Not anymore. Why? She looked at him and said softly, Because I don't want to lose what we have. Weeks passed. The snow outside fell gently, covering the hills in white again, but the shelter was warm and full of life. The supplies from Sela had made a big difference. They now had fresh food, strong blankets, and tools that made repairs easier. Zuni's single quotes as drawings covered the shelter walls, colorful pictures of herself, Lyra, and Matt. In one, they were standing under a big sun with flowers around them. In another, they were sitting beside a fire, smiling. Matt called them family pictures. Zuni giggled every time he said it. Every morning, Lyra worked on upgrades. She had turned the broken storage room into a new sleeping area, added better insulation to the walls, and even installed soft lights that changed colors at night. She was proud of her work, though she rarely said it aloud. Matt helped where he could, but often found himself watching them instead. Watching Zuni learn, laugh, and grow. Watching Lyra relax, trust, smile more often. He knew this wasn't just survival anymore. This was home, one evening. As soft music played from a repaired speaker, they all sat together near the heater. Zuni leaned against Matt, tired after. Running around all day? Lyra sat beside him, sipping warm tea. I fixed the signal dish again, Lyra said. We can send messages if we want. Any reason to send one? Matt asked. Lyra shook her head. Not really. But I like knowing we can if needed. Matt nodded. It's just having that choice matters. Zuni looked up at them. Can we stay here always? Do you wanna? Asked. Zuni nodded quickly. Yes. Lyra smiled. Then we stay. The night grew quiet, and they all sat in silence, listening to the soft hum of the heater. Snow tapped gently against the windows. The world outside was cold, but inside they were warm. But the peace didn't last. A sharp beep echoed from the scanner. Matt stood up quickly and checked it. Red light. Fast movement. Not weather. Not a supply ship. What is it? Lyra asked, standing beside him. A new ship. Large and close. Zuni looked scared. Is it the bad ones? Matt stared at the screen. It might be. They acted. Fast. Lyra shut down the power to outside systems. Matt grabbed emergency supplies. Zuni followed Lyra closely, holding her hand. The ship landed only a few minutes away. It was black, large, and had marks that Lyra instantly recognized. It's one of them, she whispered. The hunters. Matt's face tightened. Stay inside. Don't open the door for anyone but me. You're not going alone, Lyra said. I have to see what they want. Maybe they're just scanning. Maybe they'll leave. They won't. Matt stepped outside into the snow, pulling up his hood, walked toward the tall shadows moving through the snow. 3 figures in dark armor stood at the edge of the hill. One of them pointed at Matt. Human, you are not alone here. What do you want? Matt asked, keeping his voice strong. We are looking for runaways, to female units. Reported in this sector. Matt stepped forward. The lead hunter stared at him. You live alone? Yes. Prove it. Let's search your shelter. No. The hunter's eyes narrowed. You refuse us. I won't let you near my home. Then you are protecting them. Before the hunter could move, a bright flash hit the ground beside him. A warning shot. From the ridge, a second ship hovered, sleek, white, and shining in the snow. It was Sela. Her voice rang from a loudspeaker. Stand down. This territory is under my watch. The hunters looked at each other, then slowly stepped back. The leader hissed, This isn't over. They returned to their ship and lifted off into the sky, vanishing into the clouds. Let out a deep breath as Sela's ship landed beside him. She stepped out, snow crunching under her boots. I saw their signal. Got here fast. Thank you, Matt said. Are the girls okay? Yes. They're safe. Good. They walked back to the shelter together. Lyra opened the door, eyes wide with worry, when she saw Matt and Sela. She ran forward and hugged her sister. Zuni ran to Matt and jumped into his arms. They're gone, Matt whispered. You're safe. Later, Sela sat with them and explained. The hunters have been moving around this region again, but this time they're being watched. More planets are speaking out. People are protecting escapees, so we're not alone, Lyra said. Not anymore, Sela replied. What? And I'll keep watching this area. Before she left, Sela placed a new shield device near the shelter. This will hide your energy signals. They won't detect you anymore. Matt shook her hand. Thank you again. She smiled. You protected them. I'm just making sure you can keep doing it. As Sela's ship flew away, the snow began to fall gently again. Inside the shelter, peace returned. They sat together, watching the soft lights change colors. Zuni played with her toy robot.
Ow.
Lyra leaned against the wall, quiet and thoughtful. Matt spoke softly, no more hiding. Lyra nodded. No more fear. Zuni smiled. Family forever. Matt reached out and took both their hands. I'm not going anywhere, he said, and he meant it.